Hello. You guessed it. We're going to be talking about sleep today. All things sleep, especially as it relates to your lungs and your breathing. So if you're living with a chronic lung condition like asthma, COPD, bronchiectasis, any chronic lung condition actually, getting a good night's sleep is a great way to help your lungs and make you feel better too. And so there's been plenty of studies that can motivate us to get a good night's sleep. We don't only have to listen to our mothers telling us you need to get a good night's sleep, because it does turn out that those mothers were right. We do need to get a good night's sleep. And studies show that chronic loss of sleep or sleep deprivation can lead to things like more inflammation. So they see a rise in inflammatory mediators in the body in people who chronically get not enough sleep. So it's not about just one good night's sleep, it's about getting a good night's sleep all the time or most of the time. The other thing we see is immune function. So immune function can go down if we don't have enough good sleep. And inflammation actually can affect the whole body. So inflammatory mediators go all through the body. And so our lungs, especially if we're living with a chronic lung condition, are susceptible to inflammation. So if you have asthma like I do, or COPD, those are diseases of airway inflammation and lung inflammation. So they could actually get worse, or you might have an increase in your symptoms like shortness of breath or more mucus production when you are more inflamed. So getting a good night's sleep is one good thing you can do for your lung health and for your breathing. So I personally have had issues with getting a good night's sleep as a woman going through menopause lately. Certainly falling asleep can be challenging, staying asleep can be challenging, and then getting back to sleep if I have to wake up, if I end up waking up in the middle of the night, can be challenging. So those are the three main things I wanted to talk about today: falling asleep, staying asleep, and falling back to sleep if you do wake up. So let's start with falling asleep. And so we've all heard these good tips and tricks before, but it's good to go through them again as a reminder when we are trying to fall asleep. So having a good sleep routine is really important. Sleep routine is, things like you brush your teeth, you put your pajamas on, all of those good things. Reducing screen time before bedtime. Don't eat a big meal before you go to bed, especially if you have reflux, which is associated with chronic lung conditions. So avoiding foods that cause reflux. So acid foods, caffeine, alcohol, those things can keep you awake on their own as well as causing more reflux. So definitely want to reduce those before bed. And then doing nice quiet activities before you go to bed. If your quiet activities involve a screen or electronic device, maybe turn the brightness down or use those to a certain point and then switch to a different activity. Read an actual book, maybe do some knitting, crochet, something that interests you that is quiet and calm. You can reduce the light. So our bodies are really susceptible to the light. And so this is where we line up with the days, right? As the sun sets, it prepares us for sleep. And when the sun comes up, it prepares us to wake up for the day. And so if you have bright lights on in your home before bedtime, you might want to consider using a dimmer or using less lights just in the time before bed. When it comes to managing your lung routine, your breathing routine before bed, things like taking your inhalers before going to bed can help reduce the nighttime symptoms. Some of the inhalers may have something called a LABA in them, or a SABA, and those can be a bit of a stimulant. So if you know you need some medication to help you stay asleep, perhaps you take it an hour or so before going to bed, not right before going to bed, where that peak stimulation can happen within that first about half an hour to an hour. So you might want to take them a little earlier before you go to bed. If you have mucus, doing a daily mucus routine can help decrease the mucus at night. So you might want to do some huff coughing, some active cycle of breathing as part of your routine before going to bed. We know that for staying asleep, a room temperature that's kind of cool is good. I think it's about 18 degrees Celsius is nice, which might sound a bit cool, but then you want to have a nice cozy blanket that you can adjust if you're cooler. I have read that sleeping with socks on can help. So sleeping with some socks, wearing cozy pajamas, get the cozy comforter, turn the room temperature down, make it dark, make it totally dark. You can always keep a flashlight or something by your bedside. You could turn on your phone flashlight too. So keeping a light source near you if you do need to get up can be handy, but have the lights off. You can wear a sleep mask if you want to keep the light down on your eyes, maybe even some earplugs, keeping the sound down. We want to just have everything perfect so that once you fall asleep, you stay asleep. But we know that a lot of us get up to go to the bathroom in the night. So to prevent that, try not to drink too much fluids or water, but right before bedtime, in the last couple of hours before you go to bed, you want to cut back or stop taking fluids in. And then when you wake up in the morning, rehydrate. So do vary the course of your fluids during the 24-hour period. One thing I like to do is I use a lavender roll-on. I love my lavender roll-on. You can use essential oils other ways too, but I find that the roll-on is just super quick and handy. I just put some on my wrists or on my neck like a perfume. And just smelling that as part of my bedtime routine helps me fall asleep. And if I forget to put it on before I go to bed, if I wake up in the night, you can bet I'm gonna get that roll-on out. If you do wake up in the night, here are a couple of good tips. I recently heard this tip. Don't look at the time. Don't look at the time. The time gets your brain going. It activates your brain and you start doing that calculation. Oh, how many more hours can I sleep? You know, will I have time to fall back asleep before morning? So don't even get that dialogue going. I've stopped looking at the time when I wake up in the middle of the night, and I think it has made a difference for me to fall back asleep. I just don't worry about it. It took a little bit of determination to not look at the clock. I actually turned my clocks around in the bedroom so that I can't see them. I would have to go make it a point to walk over to the clock and turn it around if I wanted to look at the time. So that's helped me for sure. If you wear a CPAP machine, here's a good little tip. If you wear a CPAP machine and you wake up in the night, you gotta go to the bathroom, you might be inclined to take the mask off to go to the bathroom, obviously. But there's a better way. So once you have the mask on and it's in place and you kind of don't feel it anymore, when you wake up to go to the bathroom, just disconnect the tubing. Don't actually adjust or take off the mask. Go to the bathroom with the mask on, come back, connect the tubing. And if you don't move the mask, you might be inclined to keep it on because a lot of people who wake up in the night take the CPAP off and then it just doesn't end up coming back on. So don't adjust the mask, just disconnect your tubing. And my last tip for falling back asleep if you wake up is don't feel pressured to fall back asleep. I was very lucky in that my mom has always told me, you don't really need sleep, the body just needs rest. So don't worry about falling back asleep. And I never really have worried about falling back asleep. And I think that takes the pressure off and it actually lets me fall back asleep. The other thing that I've learned over time from working countless night shifts is when my body is tired enough, it will sleep and it will sleep hard. So I will get into a nice deep sleep when my body is ready. So if my body's not ready to sleep, I will just rest. I will stay in bed. I will stay in bed with the lights off, sound off. I won't do anything. I'll just lay there, think about calming thoughts. You can try counting your breath. I love using breathing techniques to fall back asleep. So counting how many counts you get to on the breath in and how many counts do you get to on the breath out. Always aiming for longer on the breath out, maybe even double your inhalation time. So just relaxing with the breath is a form of meditation. And what all of this resting does, or meditation too, is that it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. Parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest. And so we want to promote that. So low stimulation, relaxation, focusing with the breath, with the goal of falling back to sleep, but no pressure. Keep in mind, it's not one bad night's sleep that's going to ruin everything. It's a chronic lack of sleep is the problem. So developing a regular routine, setting yourself up, your sleep cave, make your room your sleep cave, and start doing that on the regular. And hopefully you'll notice a difference like I have. Thanks for watching.